Hello everybody, this is Gary Wilson. Welcome to this week's live Investor Agent webinar. Welcome aboard also to all of you who've been through the other training programs, wholesaling so everybody wins, flipping for profits without the risk, turning rental problems into real estate profits, that's on property management, and of course rental profits without the pain. That's the basic one on buying rentals. Most of you have done, or at least in the Investor Agent Training Program. For those of you who are new, brand new agents on board and investors, a little bit of housekeeping. You'll notice that you're by default in mute mode, and that's a system requirement because we usually have a lot of people on these, and it'll be quite difficult to have everybody unmuted. However, you can use your question box to type in questions. Okay, so type them in there, and I will forward them to Carl verbally. We're both unmuted, of course. Excuse me. So Carl will get the questions, but we'll do them in intervals. That way, Carl's he can get through his presentation in chunks, and we'll break in at questions from time to time, and then open up the floor at the very end. So also, for everybody, please remember to check your emails the very next day for the recording of this. Also, you'll have Beverly's instructions on anything that we're doing new, any additions to the platform or any changes to the platform. And also scheduling updates are all in those emails. So it's really important that you see those emails. And also, please go to the community site to build your profile if you haven't done that already. You definitely want to do that quickly. There's other people on there besides us, people just like Carl, in fact, so that you can access them no matter where you are in most states. Like Carl is an operator in most of the states, for example. So in any case, just keep those things in mind, make note of it. If you're listening to this in a recorded fashion, at the end, Carl's going to provide, I'm sure, his contact information, as well as you'll see it on the screen right now. So, in any case, without further ado, I want to introduce Carl. Carl and I have known each other for probably 13 years. He focuses his I know Carl let you talk more about this, but you focus on people who want to invest in real estate within a self-directed IRA, and it is an awesome subject. So Carl, without further ado, if you wouldn't mind, let me introduce you, and just if you could take a few brief moments just to tell them who you are, what you do, just where you do it, how you do it, why you do it, and then go ahead and move into content. So welcome aboard, Carl. I appreciate you coming on board and doing this.
Hey, thank you very much, Gary. I'm honored to be here tonight, and I appreciate your confidence in myself and my plan. And I will talk about myself, but first I want to say a couple of things to the audience because they're spending their time and energy here tonight to better themselves. So I applaud that effort. I'm trying to get my screen to move. There we go. First, CamaPlan doesn't provide any investment advice, nor do they endorse any investments. All the information here is for educational purposes. The attorneys make me say that, but the other side of it is I like putting it up there because now I can answer any of the questions that people have, and we want to answer those questions and be as transparent as possible for this information. So what if I showed everybody on here tonight where a lot of money is that they can use, right? Told you what it is, how it works, and how you get paid. And then I asked you, what would that be worth to you? Because you are spending time on it, right? And I never asked you for a dime. That'd be worthwhile at this point in time for this information. And the reason I say that is because, yes, it helps you out, but it also helps us out, and it also helps your clients. So in my mind, it's a win-win-win scenario. So I'm always happy to take some time. When Gary called me up and asked me to do this, I like to take that time and pass on the information I learned. Are you there?
Oh, yeah, just lost you for just a second, but you're back now. Okay.
Is the phone working all right? I just heard it buzzing.
Yeah, I can hear you. Actually, it's pretty clear. This is good. So.
Great. I was born in Montclair, New Jersey. My parents were real estate investors, and their parents were real estate investors. So let me just state it up front. I'm biased towards real estate because I know a lot about it. I grew up around it. They moved to Fort Lauderdale in the in the mid 50s. I grew up there. It was a great place to live. I ended up going to Cornell University up in upstate New York. Graduated there in engineering, and then started working at Kennedy Space Center, launching rockets and doing the research and development on the shuttle, and then some other classified and military rocket launchings, as well as commercial space. At that same time, my father happened to die 20 years later. I was introduced to self-directed IRAs in the early 90s, and after almost a decade of using them and working with them and interfacing with a lot of friends and family in my network, they convinced me to start a company to do this. So that's how Camaplan was born in the early 2000s. My sister Maggie is a partner with it. She graduated from Villanova University and is good with software and IT. So it was a good fit for us. So two things: I'm biased towards real estate, and I'm biased towards tax-free investments and putting those two together to build wealth. And I'm going to tell you how I did it, and in these presentations, and how you guys can do it too. And obviously, there's many realtors in our family. I'm the oldest of 12 kids, and almost every one of them have investment property.
That's awesome. And by the way, Carl, I have to say something. I don't know if I ever told you this. I actually interned at NASA at Langley Air Force Base back in the mid 80s, and we worked on the shuttle there.
I know that. I visited Langley.
Yeah.
Well as Houston, as well as Huntsville.
Yeah, awesome.
So it moves you around. You'd be surprised how much that space is, and it looks like we're finally going to get to be able to take a rocket to our own space station here soon. But thanks for that insight, Gare.
You got it. Okay.
I put a brief definition of what a self-directed IRA is. Well, first thing I want to do is the first question you had on that. Let me go back. On this page, show where the money is. There's $18 trillion to $20 trillion in IRAs and 401ks and other plans, right? Multiply that times 1.5 or 3 or 6%, whatever commissions are, and see how much money is out there for the taking. And all you're competing with are bank CDs, at less than 1%, or the stock market, which is fairly volatile. Almost everybody loves real estate. So let me tell you a little bit about what it is that really kicks this off, and it's a self-directed IRA. This is a brief summary of it. Wikipedia has a great write-up on it, about a page and a half. Mitt Romney used one, when he released his tax returns when he was running for president, which helped us out a lot because everybody was calling us up asking for one because he had over $100 million in his one, as reported by the Wall Street Journal. So it's something that's out there that nobody knows about, but very few people take advantage of it, right? So let's talk about how it works for investors, right? This doesn't work for home buyers that are going to live there, so let's take that away. But as realtors, I think you want to have repeat business like an annuity, and one of the best ways to do that, our realtors have found, is for them to work with investors. So the first thing it is, an investor will open up an account with Camaplan. they'll roll funds into that, from an old SEP or an old 401k, or start a new one with contributions. They can transfer as much or as little money as they want to into this new account. Then they're going to choose a piece of property. Maybe they want to buy land. Maybe they want to buy a condo to rent out. Maybe they want to buy a beach house. Maybe they want to buy an office building. Maybe they want to buy an industrial center. It doesn't matter. A single family home, an apartment complex. Once they choose that investment, that piece of real estate, they're going to fill out the paperwork that as realtors you're going to help them fill out. The only difference with that paperwork is instead of them putting their names on there, they're going to put their IRA as the buyer, as the purchaser. Right? Once they do that and they sign the paperwork, we're going to forward that information to CamaPlan, and we're going to sign the documents for their IRA to buy the property. And then once they do that, they buy the property. I'm not sure if the realtors are going to manage it or not. It's up to them. And they watch the money come rolling in, all the rents, and any other money associated with the account or with the building comes into their IRA, and any bills get paid out of their IRA. So they just sit there and watch this money come in, tax-free, or at the minimum, tax-deferred. So it's a beautiful thing for investors. They get it. They actually get it faster than a lot of realtors do. So if you're not sure, even after tonight, feel free to call our office and talk to us, but we will get on a phone call and we will discuss these things with you and the investors so that all of the everybody understands what's going on and how it works. And you, as realtors, you don't have to understand it. Let us help you help them.
Excellent.
So why does this work for investors, right? Why do they like real estate, right? Tax-free income for life if you use a Roth IRA. The other one people like are tangible assets. I don't know if you remember back in 2008 and 9 when stocks and bonds were cut in half or eliminated, right? Wells Fargo bought Wachovia for 10 cents on the dime. My Wachovia stock was $30 on Friday and 10 cents on Monday. So these tangible assets can't disappear a lot like the stocks and bonds do. But again, I'm biased towards real estate, so you have to keep that in mind. You have access to the managers of the property. You have more control over what you're buying. Using a self-directed IRA from most people's accounts is way less expensive, and it's the only way to get real diversity in your portfolio. Right? Maybe some people are good with real estate and they're good with stocks and bonds, and they can split it based on what they're better at. So that's why many of these investors love to have real estate. And if you email me at info@CamaPlan, I'll give you 10 more, the top 10 reasons investors use self-directed IRAs and like them and want them versus what other assets that are out there. So info@CamaPlan.com, say you were on the Gary's call tonight, and we'll send that to you absolutely free.
Hey Carl, I do have a question ready from Kristen, and she's asking what is the cost of the IRA? There's a follow-up here, says 1% with a question mark. So I'm not sure, Kristen, specifically what you're referring to, but Carl, you may understand that. What is the cost of the IRA?
It's $50 to open the account. Okay, and then we have two ways of doing fees. They're all under 1%. The more money you have with us, the less it is. I think the most it is 0.0065. But the cost is negligent to what you're going to save on these things. As an example, we have another way. We have two ways of charging fees, right? One is based on the percentage. The other one is just a flat fee per year. If you own an apartment building, you know, worth $1 million, or a single-family home worth $100,000, we'll charge by the asset $275 for the year. If you need us to cut a check, it's $10. If you need us to send an ACH, it's $5. So that's the annual. All of our fees are on our website, and I can bring people there, and they can type it in there and look at our fee philosophy. But I don't want to spend too much time on it because, trust me, it's inconsequential, insignificant to the money that you save and the wealth that you build.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'll go over every one of those things with any clients that want it, you know, and I'll put a special thing, and we'll go over. All of our fees are located on one page on our website, camaplan.com. They're put in there when somebody fills out the application, and it's $50 to fill out an application. And if they mention that they were on this webinar, what's today? Middle of July, I'll give it, you know, if they want to open up an account or they have a client that wants to open up an account, I'll take off 50% of that if they mention Gary in this webinar. How's that?
That sounds pretty good. And by the way, you know me, my background's technical too, and I checked out other companies, and by far, I don't know how you do it, Carl, but like those are, people will look, that is really, like you said, inconsequential. It's very inexpensive compared to other options out there. It's amazing, you know.
Yeah, there's no doubt, right? So I like the new rule that the DOL put out there for all the big companies, because I used to have to fight people. Well, nobody charges me for my IRA at, you know, Fidelity and Vanguard, et cetera. And I said, okay, you know, if you still think that there's free IRAs and that those buildings are built without your money, I can't really help you. But the new DOL laws make them tell them every place they get money from people's investments. And it's more like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4% sometimes. All right. I hope I answered that question all right.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody has more questions on that, I'll be glad to take them offline and do it, because we only have a certain amount of time. Okay. All right. How's this works for a realtor, right? Right. We can do this. We can help them do this online, right? Or we can still use the paper forms. It doesn't really matter. But the first thing is, you know, coordinate with Camaplan. Let's go over what you do, how you do it. We'll help you update your collateral that shows you know about or an expert in self-directed IRAs, and how your IRA, 401k, or health savings plan or educational savings plan can buy real estate. We'll give you some digital information. We'll talk to account reps, right? We'll talk to your investors or your prospects. We'll do webinars with them. We'll do workshops if possible. You know, whatever's going to help realtors and people get this information. We've got a lot of it generated out there, and we'll do that with them. And how do you collect the money? You know, you'll collect the commissions from an IRA just like you collect commissions from any other buyer. Okay, as long as it isn't your IRA, you can't get a commission if your IRA is buying it. And, you know, we end up making the disbursements, or the title company will make the disbursements from the money that comes over to buy the property or to sell the property, whatever the case may be. So coordinate with Camaplan. Let us help you figure out the process. Update your information. Let's build a relationship, and then let's watch the money roll in for you and your clients.
Okay, good. Hey, we do have a question from Faisal, and I think you just answered it 2 slides ago. Faisal is also from New Jersey. He's asking, why would someone invest through a self-directed IRA versus just buying the property in an LLC? So Fausto, it really has to do with the tax benefits. You're deferring at a minimum, deferring the tax burden, if not I hate to use the word avoiding, but there's a huge tax break but you get to grow your profits so tax-free, or at least tax deferred within the self-directed IRA. And there was other benefits. So Fausto, also, if you go to campbellplan.com, like Carl was saying, he'll give you a whole 10 other benefits of why you would buy within a self-directed IRA, but that's really the main one, So.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine getting tax-free income for life? You know how many people are in the same situation I am? They've paid off their buildings. I've refinanced them, but now the banks are such a pain in the neck that it's hard to refinance them. So now I have all my depreciation is gone, all my interest is gone, and I'm paying the living daylights out of taxes. However, my Roth IRA property is just rolling in tax-free, and I pay no taxes on that money. It's literally, a 30 to 40% increase in my net worth every year for the properties that I have in my Roth IRA and other people. So, but I'll go over a couple of those other slides here in a minute.
Okay.
That'll talk about that. But great question.
Okay.
So what can you buy in a self-directed IRA? Obviously, real estate's at the top because it's my favorite, but other people buy precious metals. Notes and mortgages, right? There's a lot of people that don't want to own the property and be a landlord, but they love property. And what they'll do is they'll act as a mini bank and lend money to landlords and property owners, just like a bank does, and thus get the higher interest rate versus putting money in a CD. And then there's private placements that'll own, that will also own real estate. If, a syndication, 10, 20 people get together, a lot of times they'll make a syndication LLC or limited partnership, and a lot of IRAs will invest in that. And then there's other things like llamas and goldfish and racehorses, Eagles tickets, but we're not going to talk about that today because I'm going to do real estate, so I'm going to focus on that as mine, right? Because even in real estate, you can be diversified, right? Single-family homes, apartments, condos, commercial, improved or unimproved land, leveraged property. You can borrow money in an IRA. You can even buy foreign property investments. You do have to be careful about what countries you buy them in, and that's subject for another presentation. Anybody remember my name from the beginning? It's on this slide here. My son is Carl Fisher III, and he moved to New York and then sends me this and tells me he's doing pretty good like a year after he's been up there. And I thought he photoshopped this slide, but he actually took a picture, and it's a Carl Fisher building in New York. And but he doesn't really own it. But I thought it was a fun thing to put up on some of these presentations.
Sure.
But as I said, single-family homes, multi-use buildings, raw land, office space, whatever anybody wants to pick up, that's what it does. And I also talked a little bit about loans because they're also associated with real estate, because most people understand mortgages, notes, deed of trust, etc., associated with real estate. Other people will get leases, convertible notes. With the debacle in 2008 and 9 and all the banks with their tranches of bad debt out there, there's a lot of people buying discounted notes from the banks and reworking those. There's secured and unsecured notes. Obviously, secured notes are better in my world than the unsecured, but the unsecured a lot of times have a higher interest rate. And it doesn't matter, short-term or long-term notes, firsts or seconds or thirds, all of that's up to the IRA owner, and the borrower or the lender. And some IRAs will even lend to other IRAs that are buying properties. versus joining in with them. So I hope that makes some sense. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the types of plans that can be self-directed, right? The Roth IRA, which is a tax-free IRA, and it's in the green on this slide, and the traditional. Those are personal IRAs, and anybody that earns money or anybody that's married to someone that earns money can have one of these accounts for the most part. The SEPA Simple IRA is basically a business IRA for the business owner and the employees. Spouses and custodial IRAs. If you're married and you have a job and your wife or husband doesn't work, they're entitled to have an IRA based on your income. And any kids that you pay money or anybody that's under 18 that earns money, you can also be the custodian of that account for them. And they can have IRAs, Roth or traditional, up above. In addition to the IRAs, there's retirement plans such as 401ks. And back in 2010, they basically made 401ks post-tax and pre-tax or Roth accounts. And again, I told you in the beginning, I'm very passionate about having post-tax money or Roth accounts. I think that tax-free makes everything better. As well as we do defined contribution plans and defined benefit plans. So all of these plans, right, which I told you earlier has $20 trillion in them, can now go out and buy real estate, rent it out, collect the money, tax-free, put it in your account, and build for your retirement, right? In addition to accounts, you can have one called a health savings account, which is hooked up with a high deductible health plan. Now you can have real estate paying for your health care, right? And then you also have educational savings accounts for your kids up to 18. You can contribute to those and actually have real estate pay for the kids' college. The best deal on this page, to me, if anybody pays their own health insurance, are the health savings accounts. They've really kicked in, in the past 10 years. Most people that understand health savings are using them. I don't know where it's going to be with the new administration's health plans in the future, but it's the only investment that I know of that the money goes in tax deferred and comes out tax free, and it's not a use it or lose it plan. It basically will carry over from year to year to year, and you can carry over your contributions, and you can carry over any medical expenses that you've incurred in previous years once you have this health savings account. So if you pay your own insurance, look at this because it's a great tool, and a lot of people just weren't ever told about it. But to me, it's one of the best things that are out there. So these are all the plans that people can use to buy real estate from you. And we can help you get information that explains this to your investors. Who'd you say asked that question earlier?
Fassel, I think as far as what are the benefits for investing when an IRA versus a typical LLC, and I think definitely there's a lot of benefits there, So, and I wasn't even aware that one self-directed IRA could loan money to another one to invest in real estate. It makes sense. I just never seen that before. That's pretty awesome,
Yeah, no, it's definitely awesome. They can be partners or they can lend the money. There's probably 20 ways that people that don't have enough money in their IRA can get enough money to buy property or go in on a deal. Everybody works, I don't really have enough, I need 300,000, I don't have that. Well, we can show you different ways and different things that other people have had. And you can pass this on to your clients as well.
Yep.
So to answer Fassel's question, imagine a world where there's no tax on rental income, no tax on appreciation, no depreciation recapture tax, right? if you sell a building.
Hmm.
By the way, your IRA can borrow money and it doesn't show up on your credit, and they can't come after you or your IRA if you stop paying. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yeah, and actually you just answered another question from Kristen. She was asking, can a person buying property within an IRA borrow, get loans and interest? Yes, it used to be, I think most banks would lend up to 50% because they call it a non-recourse loan, because anything, which brings me to another benefit, anything within the IRA also has more protection, from lawsuits and stuff like that. So the lender, so if a loan goes into default within a self-directed IRA, the property can't be attached. The property stays within a self-directed IRA. They can't foreclose on it. At least that's my understanding. So maybe if you have time, maybe we can touch on that too. But that kind of answers. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is the IRA will stay intact, but that piece of property will get foreclosed on because that was put up.
Right.
But they can't come after you and get a deficiency judgment against you or the IRA. All you stand to lose is that property. And like you said, they're only going to lend, right now most of the people or most of the banks are only going to lend 70% loan to value.
Awesome.
And that's based on the rent. But don't think that they can't foreclose on the property. Some people say that, but that's not what the non-recourse means. Just means they can't come back after you and get anything more than that.
Gotcha.
As an example, if they lent to you on a $300,000 property back in 2008, they lent you $200,000 on it, 67%, and then you defaulted because it went down to $100,000, like it did in Florida, where I am right now. They can't come back after you for that other $100,000. But they know that going into it because they signed the same piece of the paper and they put it in their paperwork.
Right.
All right, so this is kind of why real estate, is good and why people do it. Let's kind of go through one of these examples because a lot of people don't understand it. But let's take a building that's in a Roth IRA, and then let's take one outside of the IRA, just for fossils convenience. Let's just say both of them are worth $1 million. Both owners are 60 years old. I made them 60 years old because now they both can take the money out of the building and use it without any penalties. We'll assume the net rental income's $100,000 a year for both buildings, same thing. The Roth building gets depreciation of 0, none. The regular building will get depreciation of $30,000. The attorney or the accountants figured that out for me. The income tax on the Roth building is 0. The income tax on 30% of 100 minus 30, which is $70,000, is $21,000. If they're in the 30% tax bracket. If they're in the 20% tax bracket, it's 14. If they're in the 40% tax bracket, it's 28%. So at the end of the year, the $100,000 in the Roth building is $100,000 in the account or in the owner's hands if he wants it. Over in the regular outside of it, it's $79,000. So every year, you can see what that difference is, right? $21,000 you make every year.
Yep.
Take that 10 years, it's $210,000. Take it out 30 years when they're 90, it's $630,000, something like that. So let's just talk about then what happens, right? Let's say both owners die, right? The Roth building goes to the heirs, and they can take the money out over their lifetime, or they can take it all. And how much of it's going to be taxed? None of it. Let's just say in 30 years it's worth $3 million instead of $1 million for both of them. So the Roth building takes out $3 million. The regular building is going to have to pay the recapture tax on the $610,000, which is 25%, right? So 25% of a quarter of 60,000 is 150,000. Plus, they're going to have to pay long-term capital gains, which let's just say it's going to be 20%, in 30 years from now on $2 million. So that's another 400,000. So they're going to be out $1 million, and they're going to have all that money again now, not making tax-free money. So I hope this answers the question when you look at those two situations. We'll be glad to go over more details with people as time goes on, or if they want to call into the office, or grab an accountant and ask him to review this for you. And if he's got questions, we'll be glad to discuss it. Don't take my word for it. Do your due diligence and check all this out.
That's pretty compelling.
I think it is, but again, I'm biased. I've been in real estate, but yeah, I can't see anything wrong with it. Yep. So what does CamaPlan do? The IRS requires you to use a third party for an IRA, okay? Whether it's Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, it doesn't matter. You can't hold your IRA money. So we're just like them, except we don't sell anything, right? We're a neutral third party. We don't give any investment advice. We don't have any real estate to sell, any notes to sell, any Eagles tickets. All the clients do find their own products to buy and to sell. If they ask us, what piece of real estate should we buy? I said, talk to the realtor in the area and use them. Okay, because there's no way CamaPlan knows, all 50 states, all the cities and all the neighborhoods and all the streets. And if you're anywhere in any of these big cities, you know that the comps can change very quickly, in a couple of blocks. So basically, we educate professionals such as yourselves. We help the retail users understand it. And we do all the bookkeeping so that people can buy real estate, lend money in their IRAs. Can Schwab and Fidelity do this? Yes, they can. Most of them have a high net worth individual department that used to do these for them. They're not doing them very much anymore because the regulations have got so onerous in the past decade that they're offloading a lot of this, except for the people that have $50 and $100 million. How do I know this? Because our company is getting these people that are getting thrown out, and several of those companies are recommending their clients come to us when they stop servicing them. So that's basically what came. What next for you guys, right? Talk to your investors, let them know about this, add the information to your collateral material, talk to us, and we'll give you a link to the CAMA IRA website right off of your website if you have them there. Talk to us, we'll help you publish an article in your newsletter that talks about this, and we can discuss it with you and then provide one. Put self-directed IRA material in your office, right? I mean, $18 trillion is what you're going after. Take 1% of that as your goal, or 0.1%, and see what that does to your income. Set up a class with just your investors. Call us. We'll do a webinar just for you. We'll work your information in there, your sales, or your examples of properties that you're selling, and we'll do that. Send us an e-card so we've got your information and names, and we can put you on our newsletter, and then you can forward that to your clients as well. So I'm trying to help you understand this. Like I said in the beginning, I'm looking for you, or looking to help you, because ultimately if you grasp this thought process and these tools, it'll help you, it'll help your clients, and it'll help us out as well. we do a volume business. You heard our fees earlier. So we have to do volume.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, one of the interesting things is, Carl, is we do teach in our training programs, teach our agents how to put on classes for investors. In fact, I'm going through a 4-week series right now just on how to actually do that. And for those of you who are on the call tonight who are one of the classroom participants, can you see how you can work this into your offering for your clients, even if you're not doing the classroom, just doing basic workshops? I mean, this is pretty good stuff,
Well, it helps set realtors apart from their competition if they know this, or if they have somebody they can call and rely on.
Yep.
Right? If they build a relationship with me or some of my staff, we'll help them out. We'll make them look like they're experts in this.
Okay.
And like you said, I mean, if anybody wants to open up an account and try the process out, I'll do it for $25.
Awesome.
Here's several books on the subject if people want to look at them, and read them. I think they're good. I love the Keep It book over here if you want to convert to a Roth IRA. I love Matt Allen's book over here from North American Savings Bank for leveraging your IRA. So all these books are pretty good. Every Wednesday at noon, we have webinars on multiple subjects. Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can come to the office or visit our website or other events that are recorded for free. And before we get to the questions, my name again is Carl Fisher. I'm one of the founders of Camaplan. You can reach myself or my staff at info@camaplan.com. Our toll-free number is 866-559-4430, 866-559-4430, and schedule a free phone consultation anytime with us by calling that number or emailing us on our website, camaplan.com. Any other questions out there, Gare?
Oh, yeah. There's, let me go back here. I've been saving it up for you. So Fassel's asking who finds the property. So Fassel, that will be us, the realtors. We play our same role as far as working with our clients. Now we, the way we work is we provide inventory from a number of sources, but we also provide them the tools so that the investor actually does the analysis, does the due diligence. But if you're going to do this for clients to have them buy within self-directed IRAs, you definitely want to talk to Carl first and have your clients talk to Carl first and make sure everything you're doing from the start is the way the IRS needs to see it, because there's some definite steps involved and rules to the game, and you want to make sure you do everything correctly. So let's see, there's one. Oh, go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a great point, Gary. Don't think you can put the money down on the property and then assign it to yourself, because that's a prohibited transaction. People have done that, but then they're going to have to go back, get their money back, and write another contract and have the money come from their IRA. So thanks for bringing up that point. That was great.
You're welcome. Thank you, Fassel. So, and here's from Mark Hamilton is asking, okay, and when taken out during retirement, is it taxed at a lower rate? So I'm assuming that means the asset, I guess when you sell it, remove it from the IRA. Maybe if you could touch on that a little bit.
The IRA is exactly like any other IRA. If it's a Roth IRA and you sell it, you're not going to be taxed at all. It's all coming out tax-free. If it's in a traditional IRA, which I still think is good, it'll be taxed at your tax rate when you pull it out. And the question is, what's your tax rate going to be when you pull it out? If Trump lowers the tax rates, then it's going to be lower. If Trump raises the tax rates, then it's going to be higher, and I have no idea what it's going to be in the future. So that's one of the reasons I started converting to a Roth almost 20 years ago, and I've been converting stuff slowly and paying the taxes on the conversion. I basically use the mindset that I pay the taxes up front. So I think of it in my mind as paying the taxes on the seeds, and then I get the crops for free.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, here's a question from Alex. Thank you, Alex, for the question. Alex is asking, can you transfer funds from a 457 plan to a self-directed IRA?
I don't believe you can from a 457. You can from a 403B and some of the plans that the hospitals and teachers have, and I can't remember the number for that, but I don't think a 457 can be.
Okay. But a basic 401k, I think that's a definite, right? They can take money out of a 401k. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Old 401ks are real easy to do that with.
Yeah.
403B.
Yeah, I think 403B, I know that was for the teachers. Actually, that probably include nurses too, for that matter. Okay, here is, let's see, Melinda is asking, I love that you can add several IRAs together to invest. She's making a comment. Okay, good.
I love that too.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. That's pretty neat. Okay, from Kristen. Kristen is, hang on, let me go back to the beginning. Okay, this is from Kristen. I want to understand all the ways my investor can have liquidity. So maybe touch on that, Carl. Within what's the properties in the IRA, and say it's a rental that's producing rental income. Maybe go over that, and also what if they flipped a home inside an IRA? Maybe those two examples right there might help answer Kristen's query there.
Well, the liquidity issue always comes up, and the question is, how fast can you as a realtor sell a piece of property? If you're selling it at market value, it's going to take the amount of days that it sells. You know, the real estate commissions put those reports out. MLS puts it out there. You know, in 2010, if you had real estate, it was basically not liquid unless you took a real haircut on it. So if you sell it at 50% of value, you'll sell it in a week. So the liquidity aspect of real estate is how fast you need to sell it and what price are you willing to take. And that's up to each person's thing. Now, if you have a rental property and the money's coming in, you can take that money out at any time. If you're under 59.5 and you're not, you know, using it for first-time home purchase or a death or a disability or for a student loan, then you're going to pay a 10% penalty. But that's the same in any IRA. If you bought stock and sold it, and you tried to take it out before you're 60, you'd have a penalty. If you did it after 60, there's no penalty, and all that rent money is liquid to you for whenever you want it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, really what it comes down to is the rules for taking money out are the same whether it's the underlying investments or stocks, bonds, or real estate. I mean, if you take money out, you still got to follow the same rules whether you're under 59.5 or I think it's, what was the must withdrawal age? Was that 70.5 must withdrawal?
Yeah, if you have a traditional IRA, you have to take it out at 70.5. If you have a Roth IRA, you don't ever have to take it out, and it can go to your heirs.
Yeah, and then on the real estate side of it, just it's the same. You know, in other words, you would list and sell a house the same way, you market it the same way you would list and sell a house outside an IRA. There'll be some additional paperwork involved, but the process is still the same. You know.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same. But I mean, I just got a house last week, and I had an offer on it. You know, 6-7 days later. And I don't know if I'm taking the offer or not because I never even saw the house. So I don't know what it's worth, and it was the first offer. So, I mean, all that's up to what your skills are in real estate and how bad you need the money and where you can go with it, et cetera. The other option you can have if somebody needs to take money out you can put a loan on that property and have the rent going in and paying it. There's a lot of options, and if Kristen wants, she can give me the scenario, and I'll set up a phone consult with her and go over all the different scenarios that are out there that other clients have done.
Okay. Well, by the way, she just typed another comment. She said, "This is great." so thanks, Kristen. I knew this was going to be a big hit with everybody here. Okay, this is Michael. Michael's asking, if you sell the investment properties in the self-directed IRA, do you have to buy another investment property?
No, don't mix it up with the 1031 exchange. You don't have any of those rules. You can sell the house, the money goes into the IRA, you can wait for the market to go back down. I mean, just think if you had sold the houses in 2007 and then bought them back in 2009 or 10.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Here's from Sarah. Sarah's asking, do the rents go into the IRA account then and out? Yeah, the answer is yes.
Yep, they're just like dividends or interest on a CD or dividends on a stock.
All right. Okay, this is from Fassel is asking, okay, I am curious, is the company considered a registered investment advisor fiduciary? What is the minimum amount to open an account? So I think he's talking about CAMA. Would CAMA be considered a registered investment advisor for, what is the minimum amount? So I think you kind of talked about that early on, Carl, the role that CAMA plays. It's you're not actually providing investment advice. You're not suggesting what properties they should buy or not buy.
Yeah, we're not selling anything. You got to think of a bookkeeper. Every one of our forms tell you that we don't give advice on any of the investments. So it's the answer is no. But if you do want to look at our due diligence, you can go right on our website. I don't know. Can the people see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
So you can go right onto our website and check out all this about us. We've got a AAA A+ Better Business Bureau. I think on each of our pages. I don't see it, but it's epic.
Yeah. There are a couple more questions here, actually somewhat related. So Sherry's asking, what is the maximum dollar amount you can contribute into a self-directed IRA?
Well, if you remember that slide, let me see if I can go back to it. If you go to this slide, for these Roth and traditional IRAs, that's going to be $5,500 for either one of these per person. If you're over 50, it's $6,500. For a SEP, it's I think $52,000 and $58,000 this year. For a simple, somewhere between $12,000 and $16,000. And for spousal and custodians, they're like the Roth and traditional at $55,000 to $65,000. But all your accountants, right, can help you do this. Anybody all these rules are exactly the same for everybody. 401ks you can put into $18,000, even if your salary is $18,000. You can put it in either pre or post tax. If you're over 50, you can put in $24,000. Defined contributions, again, that's up to like 52 and 57. And defined benefits, you're going to have somebody figure that out. But some people put in $250,000 in those. HSAs, my wife and I think we put the max in at that because we're fortunate to be over 55. Only kidding, I'd much rather trade money for time. But the health savings accounts, I think you can put in there in a family plan $8,600 if you're over 50, and if you're under 50, it might be $6,800. And if you're single, I think it's half of those numbers. And educational savings accounts are $2,000.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think so. And if Fast was asking, what is the minimum amount to open an account?
The minimum amount we charge is $4,000. But the first thing I want to do is, we don't charge anybody except the $50. If they do have just cash in there, we don't charge any fees until they purchase an asset. So I do want people to take their time and do their due diligence and not buy a bad asset. So that's one of the reasons. I think we're one of the only companies that are out there, because everybody else charges you fees just based on your money being in there from what I've looked at. But I want our clients to do their due diligence and not do that. But also, what are you going to do with 50,000, or $4,000? If they understand that it's going to cost them $150 a year for that, or maybe $300 a year, then they're, how much do they have to make on $4,000? What's their type of return? If they
Right.
make great returns of 100%, then I say, yeah, it's really good. But if you're going to put in a low amount, the reason we have 4,000 is because a lot of our clients that have money will have their kids and their nephews or their grandkids put, 4,000 or 5,000 in, and then they'll go into a deal with their grandparents or something like that, or they'll combine them. They'll combine them with other accounts that they have.
Yeah. I just thought of some, Carl. Back to Sherry's question. This might shed some more light on this. So, Sherry, let's say you've been contributing to your self-directed IRA over the years, and you've been following the limits, whatever the limit is for your particular self-directed IRA, and you've got $1 million in assets in there, or worth in the self-directed IRA. What it doesn't mean is, it doesn't mean that you can't add $1 million building inside of your IRA. You can take that money and buy it. But what I'm getting at, Carl, is because you can borrow money, the self-directed IRA can get a loan to purchase real estate. Let's say they have $1 million in a self-directed IRA, they could use that as their down payment and then borrow another $1 million and purchase a $2 million building within that self-directed IRA. Is that true? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sherry, you could really grow dramatically. I mean, there's so much benefit or so much leverage. I mean, so you have the same leverage you have outside the IRA, but inside the IRA, everything is, you've got the tax benefits, all kinds of other benefits, long-term growth. If you have the Roth, of course, you're not paying any taxes, That's all after-tax income.
Yeah, if you think about it, if you're in a high appreciation area, sometimes it's better, to take $500,000 instead of buying one house for $500,000. You take $250 and buy two places and leverage the other $250, and then when it appreciates 2, 3, 4%, you're making the appreciation on the total $500,000, etc. So same numbers game that you go in when you go to buy any property, and you want to see which one's going to give you a better return on your investment.
Right.
It's simple with the numbers, It basically tell you do this or do that. You have to make some assumptions, of course, but.
Right. Sarah's got another follow-up question. I think we may have just answered it. Okay, if I can only put in approximately $5,000 a year, how do I purchase real estate? Do you have to wait until you have enough for down payment? So the answer is sort of yes, but again, Sarah, you can leverage that, borrow the rest of the money, from a loan, and buy a much bigger piece of property than your down payment is. In other words, you could maybe put down 30%. $300,000, get $1 million building, and you borrow $700,000 to do it. So it's kind of assuming you have some assets in there already,
Well, but also, if you can, write me tomorrow. I've got a little chart, I think, that's being updated. I don't know if it's done yet or not, but it was put in for update last week. That'll show you 20 ways to use a little bit for that. I mean, as an example, somebody might just put $1,000 down on a contract, sell 50% of that contract for the whole 100% of the cost, and then basically make 50% on what they resell it for. So there's there's at least 20 ways to do what she's talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And here's another one, similar kind of thing. Okay, what if I have an old 401k account with a company I no longer work for? Am I able to convert it into a self-directed IRA? If so, what percentage of the money could I use for an investor property?
The answer to that is yes. It's very easy. Contact our office. Our people will help you do that, and you can use 100% of your money as long as you keep 2 years worth of fees, which is $275. So if you keep 550, everything but $550.
Okay, all
That
right.
makes it.
That's pretty good. And I know Sherry's asking if you could please put up your slide with the contact info again, but I think you're going to show us something here, and then we could put your slide up there and wrap up questions, however you want to do it,
Well, I just put somebody asked how much could you put in there. $53,000 is what you could put in on October 1st, 2018 is 54. But here's the numbers on the screen of what you can put in different types of funds. Array is 5,500. You get to add another 1,000 like I talked about. But this is all right on our website, the Resource Center. Because I'm spilling out all this information, but a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I can shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty awesome stuff. So.
Right under contribution limits. But what was your other question now that I lost my train of thought?
Let's see, back to Michael. Okay. He no longer works for the company. Can he convert that old 401k to a self-directed IRA, and in what percentage money can he use to invest in property?
Yeah, we answered that, and that was yes. You can use your old 401k. It's easy to roll it over, and you can invest everything but $550.
There you go. Okay. And we're caught up on all the questions, Carl. So if you have anything else you want to show or words of wisdom, I'd love to have you share your personal words of wisdom with these guys, because I've known you for a while. You invest. You come from an investor family, and there's just I know it's an open-ended question, but just think of these folks. I can see a lot of these people are thinking for themselves. A lot of the questions are okay. They're asking for themselves, but also for their clients. Maybe what's the best thing they can do to get this information in front of their clients? Cause I think they should be doing this like now,
No, I think they should be doing it now. I mean, obviously, if you haven't done something, it's hard for you to tell somebody else to do it. But bring us in. I mean, I use these things. I learned about them. My dad died, land rich, cash poor, just like every real estate investor. As soon as they get some money, they go out and buy another piece of property because they can't stand to see the money sitting in the bank not working. But he had a loan that defaulted on him that was at 28%, and it was out there like for 6 months when I found out about it, because he died fairly suddenly. And I borrowed money to pay it off because he had a lot of free and clear property, so it was an easy loan. But lo and behold, it was an IRA that lent me the money. And I found out about it, and I said, hey, I like this. This is better than working. And the guy says I make 12 to 18%. He happened to give me the loan at 12%. I paid off the loan that was at 28%. 9 months later, I had the estate under control and I could borrow money with it. So I called him back up and I said, reduce the rate to 7% because I can get a 6% loan. And this was back in '95. And he said, look, Carl, you're a good guy and I really like the property. I was hoping you weren't going to pay me back. It would have been a great deal for me, but I don't make less than 12% and you're my lowest loan. Pay me off. So I went and I got the loan. I paid him off, and I said, well, I want to do this because I had just seen the deal, and the worst thing that could happen was, I thought was me not paying him back, but that was the best thing that could happen in his book, that I would have had the property, at 70, at 30, he lent me the money at 30% loan to value, and I paid the 12% for 9 months, or almost a year by the time the loan closed. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of just have to, once you saw that, right? I come from a real estate family. I just started telling my brothers and sisters about this, and I'd read a lot of books on how to, save taxes in real estate. But once you can do it at this level, just start buying things in your IRAs and 401ks.
Yep, I agree. Hey, Deborah's asking, can they borrow on the IRA, especially after they bought the asset? I'm not sure I'm real clear. I guess she's saying you put an income producing asset inside the IRA, a piece of maybe a fourplex. Can you borrow on that?
Yeah, if your IRA has it, yeah, you can go out to the bank and basically say, hey, I have this property in my IRA. You'll get a non-recourse loan for, I would say, no more than 70% loan to value. And a lot of people do that, right? Because let's face it, if there's a house out there, for $120,000, and you go to them, hey, I can buy this house from you right now, and I've got cash, and I'll close, quickly. Can I get it for $100,000? A lot of times they'll say that, so the people will go out and close on the home with their $100,000 or $200,000, whatever the price is. Then after they do that, then they'll go to the bank and say, hey, lend me money on this house. They'll give them half or 70% of it, and then they'll go out and buy another house.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, just think of buying property the way you do now, or the way your investors do now, and you don't have to pay taxes.
Right.
Make taxes on your, right? Some people are paying taxes on their interest. People in self-directed IRAs are making interest on their taxes. So you're using all this money, keeping it away from the government for, your lifetime if you want.
Right. Okay. Well, go ahead. Looks like we're caught up on questions again. If you want to go ahead and I see the resource center here, free forms and downloads, and then several people have asked for your contact information again. So I had a feeling that was going to happen.
Well, right up here is our phone number, 866-559-4430, camaplan.com. If I go over here to the home page, does it have our phone there? It does, same thing. Info@camaplan.com will get email to me and my, some of my staff. You can click right here and get a free info packet if you want. You can click here and get a request phone consultation. This right here talks about our fees and our prices. This is our philosophy. In here, you can click on the sheet, see the exact sheet that comes up. What people are doing there. Here's the fees right there. Everything's on one sheet, I believe, except for the signatures on the second sheet. We try to be total transparent so that everybody sees what's going on there, and that's basically where we came with it. I'm an investor, right? My friends and family are investors, so we set the fees up for investors from that aspect. How it works, I went through it all on a couple of slides, but you can basically go right here and look at here's the steps, here's what it's telling you you're doing, and here's the forms that you can do to purchase it.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
my thing is, I want people to get Roth IRAs. I want them to get them before they go away. I don't think they'll take them away from you. I think you'll be grandfathered in, but they may take them away because they're just too good. Most people don't know about these things. About 4% of the population of the U.S. knows it. So I really want people to pay attention to the type of plans they have, and you can go through these areas and figure it out. But if not, just call us. We'll go through it. One of the things you have to pay attention to is what are your advisors going to think about, and what are they going to say about this? your tax accountants, your financial advisors, your attorneys. I have some slides. I know what they're going to say. Some of them are going to say it's not legal, what I told you tonight. I've got publications that I can convince them in less than 15 minutes that it is legal, and they'll then start to help you. They're going to say that it's risky. The question is, in your mind, is the stock market more risky or is real estate more risky? That's up to you to make that decision. For me, I stink at the stock market, and I've been around real estate, so there's no question that I have better control and I feel less risk in real estate. But that's me. I've got a cousin who was around real estate, worked for Lehman Brothers, and knows derivatives and the stocks and the bonds, and over in Japan and teaching people about them, and he loves that market. It's just not for me. I want people to do that, and then people say it's complex. I've been doing it so long that it's not complex. If it is complex, because I basically fed everybody with a fire hose here tonight, with a lot of information that I've been doing for 20 some odd years, and we'll help you through the complexity. We'll ask that you call us on any question. We'll never laugh at you on the phone, but after you call like 20 times in the same day, we will start laughing, but not while you're on the phone.
There you go. Hey, Deborah does have a follow-up question. She said, okay, but if we bought an asset with our IRA, can we take money out of this IRA we used to buy the asset? I guess it's the same limits apply, right? Anything up to, all you want up to 550. You have to leave 550 in there.
Yeah. I mean, if more rent comes in and you want to buy, something else, you can buy something else. If you want to sell your house, you can sell it, put the profits back in there, and then buy 2 properties. Yeah, it's just like any IRA. Just think of it as stocks and bonds, and when you sell them and buy them, or more money comes in, you can buy more things. You can buy the lot next door and upgrade the house. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a different asset that stockbrokers don't sell.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Carl, this has been pretty informative. I had a feeling this was going to be a hit, and it looks like it was. You got a lot of engagement here from the students. So thank you all, students, for participating and asking such good questions. And by the way, Carl, a lot of people have been typing in thank you, so you're getting a lot of thank yous too.
Great. I appreciate it. I think that's great that they enjoyed it, and we'll help them continuously out there. There's our information again. If anybody wants it, Carl Fisher, info@camaplan.com. I'll give you our other direct line is 215-283-2868, 215-283-2868. Check our website for other ways to contact us and get free information.
Okay. And plus, we'll put this in the follow-up email too, just as a reminder. So for all the agents and investors out there, if you're an investor, you can use this stuff directly. If you're an agent, obviously you can too, but we really want you to share this with your clients, okay, and help them grow. Okay, this is let's see, a couple of comments here. This is from Deborah. Deborah saying, okay, it was great, informative session. Thank you. Never thought I have ever taught this ever as a life agent. Awesome. Okay, and have never been. Okay, I think she's saying this has been very informative, and she never thought of this would be coming up something she could share with the clients. So guys, I really appreciate all your comments, and Carl, I think I speak for everybody. Here's more thank yous coming in. I appreciate you taking your precious time, and I know you're on vacation, so we really do appreciate it. And I mean, I'd love to have you on again. Every month we try to bring in somebody who's an expert in their field, and every year we kind of recycle a little bit. But you'll have, next year if we do this, you'll have a brand new batch of people and some veterans too. But I think this is awesome. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to working with him more in the future.
No problem, Gary. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you introducing me to your audience. And like you said, every time you go to one of these, you learn something new. There's so much information out here that I can't even share it in a day. I go on cruises for a week, and people still say I need more. So I learn stuff. So I agree. Again, thank you very much, and thank you to your audience.
You're welcome, Carl. Listen, enjoy the rest of your vacation. I'll be back east probably in the fall. If you're up in New Jersey, the Philly area, I'm likely going to speak at a group called DIG, which is Diversified Investor Group. You probably know those guys.
Yep, all my buddies. We'll be there. We'll see you, Gary.
Yep, that sounds good, Carl. You take care of yourself, okay?
Yep, thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
and everybody else on the call, thank you too for participating and for giving Carl so much positive feedback here. This is awesome, and I hope you all have a great rest of the week, and we will see you, I believe it's actually next Monday again. Same time, same place, same day of the week. So, okay, God bless everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.